The American CIA, the Mossad and the MI6 had launched a highly sophisticated intelligence operation to carry out regime change in Iran. As you are aware, it had begun with a very sophisticated operation to derail the Iranian currency, to devalue the currency so that it is today almost 150,000 riyals to a dollar. This was aimed to inflict economic misery on the people of Iran so that their misery, their anger could be harvested to overthrow the regime in a typical colored revolution. Communication is the key to colored revolutions, and since the American playbook is now quite well understood in China, Russia and other authoritarian countries including Iran, they have devised very effective countermeasures. 40 to 50,000 Starlink terminals were smuggled into Iran to help create this colored revolution. But this time, the Chinese had sent in their electronic warfare units and they were able to jam most of these Starlink terminals. Many others were captured by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, the Pasji and their police, etc. The revolution was primarily based upon, one, the Kurd people, and about a group of, there are various reports, some say almost 5,000 Kurdish armed fighters were to be sent in via Turkey into the Kurd part of Iran. And that the amazing part is that Turkey apparently tipped off Iran, which was able to ambush at least 300 of these fighters. About the others we do not know, but at least 300 were slaughtered as they were trying to cross the border. This is the first time Turkey has cooperated so much with. Next were the Afghan refugees, which are aplenty in Iran, and they are up for sale. So the Mossad had tried to recruit them to fuel this colored revolution. The last element was the Baluchis, the Sunni Baluch tribes of Sistan, Baluchistan, and this was the task given to Asif Munir by Donald Trump, that he would help destabilize the Sistan Baluchistan part of Iran, and very enthusiastically Pakistan had set about this job because I think at a point in time it hopes to use the armed Sunni Baluch fighters against its own fighters in Baluchistan. How far that will work remains to be seen. But the sure fact is that it has seriously annoyed, riled Iran. Iran has noted, and so has the rest of the world, that all the other Arab nations like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman, UAE, Jordan, etc., they had all firmly refused the United States that they would not provide their air bases nor let their airspace be used to attack Iran. This is the first time that it has happened. And then as this revolution fizzled out, there are various reports of casualties. The Iranians have said total 5,000, in which they include the police. Incidentally, the armed protesters who were armed with AK-47, Kalashnikovs and American shotguns had been told to get onto the rooftops and kill the Iranian police and Pasji, so that they would, truly enrage them and force them to open wildfire on the unarmed crowds, create a kind of a bloodbath, Jallianwala Bagh many times over, and then give a pretext to the Americans and the Israelis for direct intervention. Nothing of the sort has happened. To the contrary, it was Iran, it was Netanyahu himself who picked up the phone to tell Donald Trump not to go in right now, to pend going in, because he felt that this revolution hadn't gained much traction. The colored revolution had not really taken off the ground. The IRGC was not weakened, nor was the regime, nor was the Iranian army or the paramilitary forces. The missiles were all intact. So as such, last time Iran had fired 500 missiles onto Israel, and it now is being reported that they caused $50 billion worth of damage, which is a very major quantum of damage. This time they are planning to fire at least 700 missiles onto Israel. Given the small size of Israel, this could create an unacceptable level of damage. I'm not too sure if the Israelis would be very keen to invite this kind of a retaliation. They would quite obviously like to preempt such retaliation by destroying the command and control centers, the missile launch centers, but they are now spread all over the country, and they are not concentrated or focused in a few areas which can be taken out. So the entire plan on the face of it seemed to fizzle out. Donald Trump was forced to eat crow, and from very bellicose threats of I am going to throw this regime out, etc., he had to climb down and say they were going to hang 800 protesters, but on my threats they have not hanged a single. So therefore it's okay, let me give them some more time, etc., that there are back channel talks on apparently. But this has made Donald Trump cut a bit of a sorry figure, because the Venezuelan imbroglio didn't work quite well. You took out tactical success, yes. You took out Maduro and his wife, but what next? That wasn't clear at all. The American companies are not keen to go inside Venezuela without protection, and that means boots on the ground, and I don't see Donald Trump sending boots on the ground anywhere. Because if the body bags start coming in, he can forget the midterm elections. So that was the situation. But then I think it did rile Donald Trump, because he quite apparently had lost face, and his senators who were rooting for a regime change, overthrow of the Iranian regimes, had to eat crow. So there is a section that Donald Trump has been peeved, and he wants to go ahead with this, at least a token strike to safeguard his reputation for resolve, etc. The American design, especially under Donald Trump, is to go in for large-scale raids, delivered from the air, delivered from the aircraft carriers, and nothing much beyond. They're not going to put boots on the ground, but grand raids, quick in, quick out, so that they don't get caught in any forever wars, because that is what Donald Trump has promised his MAGA base, that no forever wars. The problem is Venezuela was America's backyard. There seems to be a modus vivendi that the Americans and the Russians and the Chinese have agreed not to finger each other in their respective backyards. So you find that the latest edition of the National Security Strategy of the United States clearly states that they will expect their allies like Japan, South Korea and Philippines to do the heavy lifting, to provide the bulk of the forces, and like Ukraine, if required, fight China to the last Japanese, Korean or Filipino. I don't think the American allies in the Pacific would be very keen to follow this kind of a pathway where America refuses to put boots on the ground. It chickens out, because quite obviously there is logic. Taiwan is just 100 kilometers off the coast of China. It is 7,200 kilometers plus from the coast of the United States, East Coast. Quite obviously, America would be at a decided disadvantage, especially with the hypersonic cruise missiles, which could take out your aircraft carrier battle groups. Even one aircraft carrier battle group lost would be one too many, as far as the casualties are concerned, as far as political implications in Washington are concerned. So Russia did not put boots on the ground in Ukraine, nor even a no-fly zone corridor, etc. It's not likely to put boots on the ground in Europe at all, and nor in the Pacific, nor in the vicinity of China, and nor will the Russians or the Chinese like to mess around with the United States in its South American backyard. So, what about Iran? The critical question is, Iran is in nobody's backyard. It's neither an American backyard, nor really a Russian backyard, nor a Chinese backyard. Yet all three have very vital strategic stakes there. Vital strategic stakes, sir. You know, this is the oil cockpit of the world. About the entire Middle Eastern oil goes out from there, flows out from there, and America would like to control it, right? And now the Chinese have almost 23 to 30% of their oil coming from Iran. They cannot afford to lose face there. They have invested very heavily in Iranian infrastructure, in Iranian ports and facilities and pipelines, etc. The Russians cannot afford to lose face here, especially after Syria. They are not likely to back down. They may not intervene directly, but very certainly they are all keen to provide equipment support, intelligence support, and all kind of help and moral and political support. Given Russia's preoccupation with Ukraine, it is most likely that the Chinese will have supplied, not will, but have supplied their HQ-21 series of surface-to-air missiles, which are the equivalents of S-400s, and they have also provided their technicians to man them. That was the problem last time. Iran had been offered by the Russians their technical people to man their S-400s and the others, but they had said very haughtily they had refused. So Putin had asked them that you made a mistake by not taking our manpower. We had offered it to you. This time they are chastened and they have accepted. And there are even reports, unconfirmed as yet, that J-10C fighters have been sent with Chinese pilots. The report of the missiles definitely is confirmed. The J-10C report is yet to be confirmed. So what happens next in Iran? America has moved the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Battle Group from South China Sea via the Indian Ocean, and it is all heading for the Gulf. It is being closely shadowed by an Iranian container carrier, which is closely shadowing this aircraft carrier battle group. There are reports that Iran has many container carriers which have been equipped to fire missiles, which have been equipped to launch drones, and which could mount lethal attacks. Iranian proxies like Houthis, etc. will all also come in. The Iranians have their submarines, and the Iranians have the hypersonic cruise missiles. They have been given the Kinzhals by the Russians. They could use these to attack the American aircraft carrier battle groups, especially in the closed waters of the Gulf of Hormuz, the Red Sea, etc., where there is very little room for maneuver, evasive maneuvers. And it would be a disaster if America was to lose even a single aircraft carrier or major capital battleship with concomitant loss of American military lives. There are unconfirmed reports that America has 3 more aircraft carrier battle groups on its east coast, and they may have been moved towards this area via the Panama Canal, the Roosevelt, the George Bush, and the Eisenhower. Please don't forget that if in the last time in June, America had 2 aircraft carrier battle groups there. So in case they want to repeat that kind of a operation, they'll have to have minimum 2, if not more than 2 aircraft carrier battle groups. It is said that the American Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff has clearly advised Donald Trump that since the colored revolution has failed, we will have to employ far greater force levels. If America employs far greater force levels, and Victor Gao, who's very close to the Chinese establishment, has clearly threatened the United States that they will come to the aid of Iran. They will not let Iran down because they are heavily invested in the oil that they are getting from Iran and in the kind of commitments they have made to Iran. They will provide economic support, they will shore up the Iranian economy, and they could provide equipment support, intelligence support via their satellites. So Iran's levels of awareness, domain awareness would be extremely high this time around. Iran, like I said, has its missile force fully intact, fully capable. It seems they have made up their shortfalls and shortages. And like I said, they could hit Israel, they could hit the American bases, they could hit the aircraft carriers. They could block the Straits of Hormuz. This is the standard Iranian threat which has so far deterred American intervention in a major manner. That if they are going down, they'll take the rest of the Middle East down with them. They'll close the Straits of Hormuz. 75% of Middle Eastern oil goes out via the Straits of Hormuz, Suez Canal, etc. All these would be heavily interdicted. They could mine the Straits of Hormuz and the price of oil could shoot up to $150 a barrel. Does the United States want that? Their economy is showing signs of stress, and if this happens, it could be a very major blow to the American economy itself. So I am very certain that Donald Trump is not going to take this decision to attack Iran in a flippant manner, because if he does, the consequences could be unimaginable. There are high chances of accidental escalation and the whole thing spinning out of control. Iran is no pushover, it is no Venezuela, and despite all that has been done to weaken Iran, the IRGC army, their missile forces are intact and they could fight back, and they will have support from Russia and China. Like I said, this is nobody's backyard. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.